I'm not very prepared. You're gonna have to bear with me. It's football day. It is coming home. I am talking today about... I've forgotten. What's the title again? Yes, you already know that you are trans. You already know. Whilst I get ready, whilst I film this video, I'm gonna do my makeup. It's like a get ready with me. It's a two birds with one stone. It's a I'm quite busy and I gotta pack two things together and I don't have time to film tomorrow and I've just got back from Paris and bear with me. This video is about the hundreds of messages that I receive from people asking me, how do I know if I'm trans? Or I think that I might be. And obviously I've already made a video about this. How do I know that I'm trans? How do you know that you are trans? How does anybody know?
It's easy, don't worry, your girlfriend will tell you.
This is different. I'm gonna talk about the key element of that video that I only mentioned briefly, which is that you already know. In the question of am I or am I not trans, you do already know the answer when you're posing the question. The thing that you are getting stuck on is whether it's the right thing for you, whether you'll regret it, whether you can just accept that. Accepting like, I'm trans, my life has to change, is 100 times harder than actually knowing whether you are or you're not. Now, I don't want this to be like super inflammatory, and I also don't want it to be like, she's saying that you have to be trans and you can't express gender identity and you can't make mistakes. You definitely can, but I know that there is a key difference between exploring a gender identity and figuring out what's right for you and having that am I trans question. Oh, I'm just layering it on, oh my God. I do not feel very functional today. I've never actually spoken whilst doing makeup. Usually I just sing songs. So this is gonna be very interesting. Okay, I'll give you an example so you can better understand what kind of demographic I'm thinking about when I say these things. Hey, Icky, I feel like I'm a woman inside. Like, I don't mind being a guy, but as a woman, I'm actually happy and I've experienced joy for the first time ever. I don't know if I'm trans. How do I know if I'm trans? Being trans is very, very complicated. There's no particular box that you have to tick. So I understand that it can be complicated. How are you supposed to know if there's like so many variables or it's just like so open-ended? You can have dysphoria, you can have euphoria, you can not have those things. You can be very comfortable in your assigned birth gender and still be trans. I think that if you experiment with your gender and you get so much joy from it and so much energy and life that you come to my content and you watch through all my content and then you decide like, I just need to message, that you already know. It's easier to have somebody else tell you than have it be something that comes from yourself from within. That happens with a lot of things. Things like ASD or ADHD. You kind of want like a doctor to tell you you are this thing, to confirm it so that you know that you're not making it up. And that doesn't really happen with being trans. It's just not a done thing. Like friends and community can tell you that they think that you are, but nobody really knows except you. Like having to come to terms with something yourself, it sucks. It's like kind of one of the hardest stages of transitioning. Taking HRT is easy. Growing boobs is easy. They hurt though. Telling your friends and family, that's difficult, but what's even more difficult is accepting it yourself and being like, okay, I have to come to terms that I am this thing going forward. I have to change my whole life and I have to tell my friends and family, and that is my decision. That's hard, that's difficult, it takes bravery. It's a lot easier to just sit and pretend and say that you're not, that it's just an expression. But I think some people really, really know that they are this thing. They are trans, they are a woman or a man and they want to transition. They need to, but they kind of just want that like, someone to tell them, that push. Mom, this YouTuber told me that I'm trans, so I'm gonna transition now. That's like right-wing, like rhetoric. I already made a video where I talk about can transitioning be a fetish? Because that is a thing that gets brought up when people are like, no. I do think this thing, but maybe it's just a fetish. That is like the last line of defense. Like I've never heard of that being a thing. I've never heard of anybody going through with something that intense just for like sexual gratification, because it gets boring really quickly. It's difficult. It's not something that you're gonna be like, oh, this is so sexy. I'm waiting at my GP to talk to them. I'm having a phone call with my doctor to ask them to put me on the HRT waiting list. This is so sexy. Now, I'm doing blush in a C shape. C shape, hell yeah. I learned this at like a Gucci seminar for their makeup that I got invited to. I'm doing, what am I doing right now? Contour, which is new for me because I haven't been doing this for a while, so I'm bad at it. For me, I knew it for a lot longer than I was willing to admit. After like being able to explore in my like student accommodation, I was able to like dress up and explore gender identity, and then I had to go home because of lockdown. And as soon as I couldn't explore my identity, I got depressed and really hateful of my body, and I woke up one morning really hating myself and how I looked, and then I was like, oh, it like clicked, and I was like, that's not normal. And that is like the conscious decision, but I knew in the back of my head for a lot longer. I had a partner at the time that I basically, I guess I didn't want to disappoint. I didn't want to scare them because I was gender fluid for a little while, really short amount of time. We would talk about it in a way that's like, oh, maybe you are, or what if you are, what would we do and stuff. And I'd be like, nah, it's not, like, I'm probably not, like, I don't think I am. And in the back of my head, I would be like, no, I think that I am. Like, I would say like, I want to be a guy still. And my head would be like lying. So yeah, that like back of the head voice knew for a lot longer than I let myself know. You just have to trust that little voice, and it knows best for you. It's like a gut feeling, but in your brain. I wonder if we were in a better social climate, a better environment for trans people, it would be a lot easier for people to come out. It wouldn't be so difficult. They wouldn't need like outside reassurance basically, because, you know, it's kind of like putting yourself at risk. Even me as like a huge advocate for transitioning and that it's like life-saving and life-changing, it's still like a risk to, especially now in 2024, to decide to come out and transition. Is like, family and friends are gonna be worried about your safety more than anything else, which sucks. And I really, really hope it changes. I'm not gonna like settle on the doom and gloom there. I am like so much happier since transitioning. As soon as I decided to, happiness went up. I have not suffered with depression since, at least not long term, or I have not suffered socially. Even when it's difficult, I would not change it for anything. I have never once regretted it. Even like dysphoria and all the social climate and losing, I lost like one family member, all the difficult stuff, I still would not go back and change it because I just feel so right. I feel so normal. I feel like a person, and before I did not feel like a person. Maybe that's another way of figuring it out. If you are asking whether, oh, I might be trans or not, do you currently feel like a person? Do you currently feel functional and fulfilled? Do you feel happy? Do you feel like you make good interpersonal connections? Do you feel like life on the other side after transitioning could be better? And you gotta remove all your societal views of what better means. I'm not talking about like chivalry, of like people opening doors for you or thinking you have it easier or any weird stuff like that. I'm just talking about, would you be happier in your day-to-day in the most boring situation that you could possibly imagine? Think about going to the bank or the post office and it's incredibly boring and you're pissed off because it's taking too long and you have to go and do something else. It's dull. It's an average daily experience. Would that be improved by being ma'amed? Or being sad, by being perceived as something different to what you are currently? Then that is also another big tip. Because I think it's a lot easier when you're like, you know, had the thing that I had where it's like, you hate yourself or like mental health issues or you're struggling socially or those ones are quite obvious, but sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it is literally like you're doing well with friends and family, you're doing well in work, you don't really hate yourself. It's more just like, what is more fulfilling? What is more natural? What feels like it is you? Honestly, how much I have been struggling to do two things at once should just be the poster for ADHD medication. I've got this like goop. I genuinely have no idea. It's like eyeshadow, but it's going on my lips. It's just to make them slightly more appealing. Thank you, Tank. Hell yeah, I did it. I managed to do 2 things at once, which is apparently very difficult when you're medicated. I hope this video helped in some way. I hope that I actually managed to get my point across. Sometimes people ask me for like advice on their like life and transitioning and stuff. I can't really reply to them. I do feel bad and I do read them, but hopefully the videos help because they are my way of being able to connect a little bit and getting some advice. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna watch football now. Oh my god, this takes all my concentration. Why did I not think that this would be difficult? These are hard. How do people do this? How do you talk and do your makeup at the same time? I don't even remember the topic. Baby, no. Uh-oh.